All right, so that was some awful shit last division, but now this is kind of fun.
What a treat.
This is kind of sexy. Let's talk about Josh Allen. Who were we talking about yesterday that got drafted over Josh Allen? Somebody
Daniel
bad.
Jones.
Oh yeah, Daniel Jones.
So bad. Oh man.
Charlie says, finally a real football team. Love everything about the Bills. Well, so do we. If you watched any of our baked best balls, I think we did like 4 of them. Like 3 of those, we just stacked up Bills left and right. So,
oh yeah, all in on this team. Good to see Charlie too. He was a regular at the last time we did the projection show. I'm still wondering where Preble's at. I'll DM him on Facebook or something.
Let's
always here.
Let's start harassing people that we know.
Yeah,
we got at least like where are you at? And Charlie co-signs on Gary W's comments, which we appreciate.
Thank you guys.
All right, Bills 2022. Let's get excited. Now, I will just tell you at the top the big discrepancy that the Wolf fixed kind of covertly. Well, not really covertly. He told me he did it, but Stefon Diggs, the Wolf had as his wide receiver 5, but his stats actually only projected him to finish as the wide receiver 13. That's obviously a discrepancy worth talking about, and he saw that and was like, no, that's not okay. So he's changed his Diggs numbers. Where do you have Diggs coming out now?
Right up to wide receiver 5.
Okay.
The big thing, and I re-looked at it, and I had Diggs at a 23% market share, which that 2% ends up being a really, really big difference when you're talking about wide receiver 13 to wide receiver 5, because he went from 138 targets to 160. And just like a lot of the elite talents, you give somebody 30 more targets, they're going to do a whole lot of damage with that. So his numbers leaped up.
When he's catching, you got him 70% catch. You throw somebody 30 targets. That's 21 catches. That's like 2 full games of like really high production.
Yeah, he went from about 1,200 yards to 1,344. He picked up an extra touchdown. And then Gabe Davis took a little bit of a hit. I think he took, but it was only a small one. He fell like 1 spot in my wide receiver ranking. So it didn't end up impacting him too much, but that's where it came out of. I think I had Davis at like an 18 to 9 or a 20% target share. I bumped him down to 18 and I put Diggs back up to 25, which I do think is pretty reasonable. And I still
love Gabe Davis though. I unapologetically love him. Diggs is great. Diggs is good. I think you were smart to change his numbers a little bit. Maybe a little disrespect for Diggs, even though you had him 5 on your board. You clearly believed in the guy completely.
That's why
the numbers didn't match up. That's all.
I think it was just a weird, I just overlooked it in the projections because I loved him. And I made sure that these projections feel way closer. 112, 13, 44, and 9 touchdowns. I mean, just 2 years ago, he had 130 catches. Last year was a little bit of a down year, but I with a bunch of the receivers leaving, I think that gives the path for Gabe Davis, who we absolutely love, to step up. But I think Diggs is belonging in the first round, and I did not have him that projected as such. So,
well, I kind of plunged us into the receivers right away, which is a little bit backwards, but it's okay. We can get that off the table. Obviously, we love both of those guys, but let's talk about Josh Allen. This is not a hot take. Everyone knows he's great. I still kind of want you to spend a minute or 2 on him.
Why not, right? So we talked at the top about elite offenses and how oftentimes they don't end up running a ton of plays. That's not the case with the Bills. They love just pedal to the metal. They could be up by 30 points, and they are still going to go no huddle and shove it down your throat. And I love that about the Bills. There's no blowout risk because they might blow you out, and they're still going to just continue to pummel you and pummel you and pummel you. And I love that for fantasy because that just keeps Josh Allen continuing to pile up the points. He's gone well over 400 points in back-to-back years. Well, very easily the quarterback 1 in back-to-back years. And I very handedly projecting him as the quarterback 1 yet again. Almost 5,000 passing, over 40 touchdowns, to then go with nearly 600 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. I mean, we're talking about 5,500 yards of offense almost at this point. The guy is an absolute machine.
Man, how fun is this guy to watch? Let's just be real. He runs over people, man.
A truck.
He's
a beast.
And and just what an arm. I know we talk about 5,500 yards total offense. That's incredible. But it's like the fun factor. We talk about drafting guys that you want to pull for, that you want to own. He's so fun to have. And we drafted him in the 3rd round of at least half of our best ball leagues.
And I'll continue to do so. That's a guy that People, you want to diversify your portfolio. Yeah, I get that. Not when it comes to Josh Allen. I will gobble up as much Josh Allen. I've continued to draft him every single time in round 3. And I've always been a wait on quarterback guy. This is a different beast. Like, I mean, this is a running back, a quarterback. Like it's everything. It is just fantasy goodness embodied. Is Josh Allen? He is the absolute tits. I mean,
he is the tits.
Oh no, I just pressed back, so we'll go.
It's okay. Josh Allen. Just recapping, he's the tits.
Yeah, and while this is reloading again, I think I have to sign back in to my projections here. But a lot of the one worry I've seen people express is he lost his offensive coordinator, Dable, who was he was a good play caller. He put a lot of the 4 wide receiver sets out there, dialed up the run a lot. But what I love is they promoted from within. Ken Dorsey, the quarterback coach, has gone up. Josh Allen's already said it to The Athletic. Like, this is the same exact verbiage, it's the same exact system. I am just as comfortable, if not more so, with the offense right now than I ever have been. You're going to just get the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. You're going to get a guy that puts up at least 20, oftentimes 30 in your lineup. There's nothing else to say. I mean, like there's to me, unless he gets hurt because he's running around a lot, but like he's a tank. I just love him. There's nothing to not love about him.
I got an argument with somebody the other day. Do you think that Josh Allen is better than peak Cam Newton?
Yeah,
I do too.
Prime Cam Newton was amazing, but no, I mean, like Josh Allen can do
this guy's just better.
He's way more cerebral. I mean, just look at that AFC champ. We were talking about
Cam Newton never could have done that shit.
No, gone toe to toe like that required some huge big balls and great throws. And Cam had the balls. He could make those throws. Like he could rope it deep, but to be able to like thread it to the way that Josh Allen was like with a clutch game on the line. That's where Cam Newton throws the pick.
I don't even think it's close. And I mean, again, I'm a huge fan of prime Cam Newton, but no, I agree.
No, I'm with you.
Not close. All right, let's talk about the running backs. Devin Singletary. He's a guy that we kind of like were really down on, understandably, for a while because he kind of sucked. But then kind of like we've kind of warmed to him a little.
Yeah.
Right?
Number 2 running back in the fantasy playoffs. And the team has already come out and said, we loved what we saw. We're going to continue to lean on Singletary. Actions do speak louder than words. They did draft James Cook, but they've been very like adamant that James Cook is more of a slot receiver than he is a running back. Like he will be our sub back. They wanted J.D. McKissick. So, Singletary's receiving work, which did contribute to a lot of his success at the end of the year. I can't project him for more than 38 targets, which is what I have here, 30 catches. Even though he's a pretty good receiver. I mean, Singletary is. James Cook is much, much more explosive as a receiving option, at least based on his college tape. We'll see how he translates. So I do have Singletary taking a little bit of a receiving hit, but 9 might be low touchdowns in this offense. That's going to continually drive it. I guess the one reason that I didn't go higher is because Josh Allen is so damn good.
I think 9 is. Yeah, I don't know what I'd go over under on 9.
Yeah,
I might go under actually.
You're getting a probably a 55% of the total work of the backfield. So I have a 41% of the carries, but that's with Josh Allen taking 25%. So you're talking about just running back carries. He's getting about 60% of the running back work with a little bit of the receiving work and one of the best offenses in the league. And he continues to prove, like, even though we said he quote unquote sucked, it was kind of his role that sucked. He's always been pretty efficient whenever he's seen volume. So I like Singletary. He goes in round 10, sometimes in underdog best ball drafts. Mm-hmm. He's been my running back 3 and 4 on almost every team. One of my highest rostered players. I really like Singletary, even though I think he only comes out at like running back 24 or so in the projections. Yeah. I think I've kind of statted him out as floor. And that's pretty damn good to have that type of a top 24 floor in round 10. Like, I'll take that all day.
Just for the record, Devin Singletary projected out at 24. You got him 25 on the big board. So
there we go. Right around where I had him.
Let's talk tight ends. Come on, man. You got to say something about this guy.
I love Dawson Knox too. I was going to say too, though, with Singletary, I think I have him below Patterson right now on the big board. That needs to change. So we talked about last time. Like, I really just don't want Patterson this year. I know I loved him last year, but
you have him above Patterson, but it's one spot.
Yeah.
You have an interesting run here. These are tough. You have, I don't agree with some of this stuff, Wolf. You got Montgomery, Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell, A.J. Dillon, Tony Pollard, Singletary, Patterson in order. I don't know. I like Singletary better than some of those guys you got above him.
I might too. that might be one I have to go relook at. In terms of the receiving, we talked about Diggs. I was wrong. Reprojected him out, and he's projecting top 5. I mean, he's projecting below Mike Evans for me, which is kind of surprising, and not many people would draft it that way. I don't know if I'd even draft it that way. If I was presented with Diggs versus Evans, I'd probably pull the trigger on Diggs.
I would take Diggs.
But the big thing is Gabe Davis. He has become, I know you're not on Twitter much, Truth. No. He is like the Twitter, every day it's a new fight about Gabe Davis.
Oh, it's awesome. Maybe I should get onto it. I'd love to be in that mix.
It is, oh my God, every single day somebody comes in with something about how he sucks. Somebody comes in with how he's the best player in the world. And you know what side I'm on. I really like Gabe Davis, but it is just a bloodbath every single day on Twitter about Gabe Davis. And clearly I'm on the side of, I really like him. 18% target share. Doesn't seem like all that much, but 18% in this offense is really, really healthy. 115. We've seen 115 targets to the wide receiver 2 in the Bills multiple years in a row. I love Gabe Davis to see that. And I love him to just be an absolute monster with it. 11 touchdowns, just under 1,100 yards. Great stuff all around, even at only a 59% catch rate, because he's going to have those big plays. I think about 15 yards per catch is right on par with what we've seen from him whenever he's used. I'm all in. I don't buy. The big argument against him is, well, he couldn't beat out Manny Sanders and he couldn't beat out Cole Beasley. Why is he suddenly that good? I don't really have a reason for like why he wasn't in over those guys, because they're not that good. And then when Gabe Davis does get on the field, he is really good. So I don't know why.
I think he did ultimately beat them out.
I think, they got hurt and then he just kind of took over because the coach probably finally realized, like, we're being idiots not playing.
I mean, once they saw how good he was, it wasn't like then they kept like playing at his expense.
Exactly.
It just took him a while to get the reps and earn the spot. I don't really agree with that argument.
You were going to say earn it, right? And that felt wrong, because that's what the argument. Targets are earned and he couldn't earn his targets. I think that was more coaching error and coaching fallacy than it was on Gabe Davis. Maybe he's not a great practice player.
I mean, obviously it was. You can't have somebody that getting in, putting that sort of production and like clutch, like important NFL games and not be, and then be like, oh, well, he shouldn't be playing. Exactly. Like there's only a handful of guys in the world that can do that.
Exactly.
And he's one of them.
And he's one of them. And, Emmanuel Sanders up from the sidelines now he's not on the Bills. He's been on record being like, Gabe Davis is an absolute dog, man. Like he is, now that he finally has his opportunity, you guys will be seeing a Pro Bowl receiver for years to come. And so like, he probably didn't say those things back then because he wanted to play. But now that he's not on the team, he is like flat out saying like, this guy's way better than I was. And he's going to be a star for years to come. So I like that endorsement. That means a lot to me. The other receivers, I mean, I had been drafting a lot of Crowder, and I still will take him where, whenever he falls. But I had kind of been reaching for Crowder to make sure I got my stacks with Josh Allen. A lot of the reports right now are Isaiah McKenzie's been beating him out, just like making play after play after play, showing an amazing rapport with Josh Allen. So whether I have Crowder or not, I have kind of committed to getting Isaiah McKenzie on every single one of my teams. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But if he ends up being the starting slot receiver, we've seen Cole Beasley see over 100 targets for 3 straight years. That could be McKenzie's role. And the few times he's actually started, he's scored 26 and 30 fantasy points. I mean, the guy just, I don't know, similar to Gabe Davis. I don't know why he's not earning his targets, but when he does get on the field, he just flat out balls. So he goes in the last round of drafts. I have been hammering him. I still do like Crowder as a player. So if he ends up winning the slot role, maybe we got to kind of do a show right before training camp about the most important battles, because we've talked about a few of these things. What do you need to monitor? Like Najee Harris, does he look sluggish at all? Isaiah McKenzie versus Crowder is like one of the most important receiver battles, because I do think they'll do plenty of 4 receiver sets, but that number 3 is crucial. And I could see McKenzie winning it and going from a last round pick to a round 10 pick. And that's why I'm just going to keep hammering him in the last round. I absolutely love him.
All right, Dawson Knox.
Oh, love. Right. Sex.
That's it.
I mean, 10 touchdowns last year. I think 10 again is a very fair expectation. As again, one of the few guys still on the roster that has that nice rapport with Josh Allen. Big Settlers of Catan fan too. Love that. He
Love that.
Yeah, him and Josh Allen are big Settlers of Catan guys.
We should get a game with them.
Another reason to love this team and this offense. Like I hate that they're in my division with the Pats, because Otherwise, I really like the Bills. Like I love.
You got it
them.
right. That sucks. You got him ranked 7, and you got him projected as your 7th guy. I like him more than that, if I'm being honest.
Huge tight end. I mean, huge touchdown upside. I guess it's just a matter of targets for me. The guys above him, like who do I have above him? I just think they probably have a decent amount more targets.
Kelsey, Andrews, of course.
Of course.
And you got Pitts, Waller.
Yeah.
Then you're like, maybe. And then you got Kittle and Schultz.
I love Schultz.
I love
He's
Knox.
my tight end 4 last night.
Yeah, I like Knox a little more.
So that's, I mean.
And Kittle, I will see, man. I've seen a great Kittle, but I don't know, man.
Yeah. If you told me at the end of the year Knox outscored 2 of those guys on that list, it wouldn't shock me.
And a Knox Allen stack is sexy.
Oh yeah, and you can get Knox in round 10. So again, like that's the best part of Allen is it can be tough to stack him and Diggs, but if you take Allen in round 3,
no, but we stacked him and Davis
4,
a bunch of
then
times.
Then you go, Devin Singletary 9, Knox 10, Isaiah McKenzie round 20. Just loading up on that is so fun and sexy.
And then you're just covered with your own. Well, anyway,
with goo.
It's like that picture of you, or that video of you when McCaffrey came back.
Yeah,
that's what you do when you load up on Bills. Yeah. All right, we talked about the Bills for a long time, but they're one of the few teams I think is like worth it.
And what's funny that is like I'm pulling up the Pats as we do this. We went from like the Jags and the Texans to the Bills. And when I do the rankings, I just kind of go in alphabetical order. And they're like, that's exactly how it feels is like Carolina, Chicago. Oh, now Cincy. That feels really
You're
good.
excited.
And like there are some stretches that are just like awful.
Right.
But then there's like Chargers and Rams back to back. Raiders right after.
Raiders kind of exciting. Miami intriguing.
Minnesota. Giants, Jets.
Yeah.
You have to do those 3
It's
teams.
like you have to do them because you got to do all the teams, but you don't want to.
No, not at all. And we have to talk about all the teams, but we don't want to. It's the same thing. Doing them and then talking about them, it feels the exact same way. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.